All right, folks, it's Tuesday, August 26th, and we have XRP open interest surging to record highs in preparation of these ETFs going live, more treasury companies popping up, institutional adoption set to explode after that Clarity Act passes, and now, believe it or not, we actually have a company out of China that's going to use the XRP ledger for supply chain logistics. So it really is ready for all the money, as we've been saying. And despite the recent volatility and price action, we still got our eyes set on much higher targets. So let's get you tapped in on today's update. Reminder, we'll be back live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. We do it every Tuesday, Thursday, full breakdown and update, along with an opportunity for a little bit of Q&A. So bring your comments, bring your questions, 10 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you tonight. So far on the Fed chopping block, we get Trump looking to fire Fed Governor Cook. Fed Governor Kugler resigns without explanation. They're jumping ship like little rats, aren't they? Trump appoints Fed Governor Moran, so he's starting to replace him. And Trump calls to fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell countless times. Trump says that the new Fed Chair pick is coming soon. 2026 is going to be a wild year, and we've been explaining this. You'll have a full rotation of the Fed by May of 2026. New Fed Chair and Trump-appointed governors will be in full control. And in fact, Trump's already rolled them under the Treasury, essentially. But Cook is refusing to leave, and this puts the Fed in a difficult position. Check out what Jim Bianco had to say right here. If they allow her to continue with her duties as Fed governor starting this morning, and the courts find that the president does have the authority to fire her, even if months later during an appeal, anything she does on behalf of the Fed as a governor starting today will not be valid, and the Fed could be held responsible for allowing a non-employee to continue to act like an employee. So the Fed was already between a rock and a hard place with interest rates and inflation, with weakening labor market. Now we put them in an even more difficult position, right, by Trump looking to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook. And if restated here, if the Fed allows her to and continue to be a governor, and the court rules that Trump can fire her, again, even if it's later in an appeal, then Jay Powell has potentially committed a for-cause offense, which he could be fired for, allowing a non-Fed employee to make decisions and policies on behalf of the Federal Reserve. That's a big no-no, and that would be for cause. That would allow President Trump to say, you're fired. Okay, so I tell you what, I'm here for it. I'm here for applying pressure to this institution. At the very minimum, we need an audit. Let's get this ball rolling, and then let's allow America to really understand what this institution is, the role of the Fed. And once again, they're always late when it comes to controlling this monetary policy. They've caused so much harm by keeping rates elevated higher for longer. And yes, we have a threat of inflation, but the Fed is in control of their levers, and it's clearly, it's been too late, Powell, to lower rates. And solving the inflation problem, well, that's another situation too, right? But like I said, the Fed has the levers on interest rates, on the monetary policy there, and they could lower these rates here today and ease up our business cycle a little bit, right? You take people one direction, which is taking interest rates to zero, the lowest interest rates in 5,000 years, but then you rug pull them and take them to an elevated rate that we haven't seen in decades, right? So that's the problem, right? They are the problem, right? They took the rates too low, then they take them too high, then they stick it to President Trump playing politics. This is what brings max pain to the Main Street economy. Instead of, if we didn't have the Federal Reserve and we just let the market set the interest rates, that's the direction that I'd like to see our country head in. Nonetheless, I got my popcorn and I'm going to be enjoying watching this show unfold. Now, I wanted to share this because this is a great example. We saw this coming. If you have an ecosystem that's based off of just trading in the meme coins and trading in the trenches with no real lasting utility, it's not going to last long. And so although Solana has had a heck of a run, within the past 10 months, Solana has lost almost 7 million unique traders. Now, how many of those are bots? probably a significant amount. But the point being, the trend is the traders are giving up, capitulating, and leaving the trenches behind. We had 8 million unique traders 10 months ago, and now we just have 1 million unique traders. Seems like a lot of people are leaving the space instead of onboarding new traders with these launchpad wars. You have rug pulls, KOL scams. Seems like people are preferring the McDonald's application. This is why we don't have any runner. We are losing traders every day. Stop being delusional about bull run and fix the space. Yeah, see, you got to have real utility, right? Because you can get the memesters trading for a while. You can get a little activity. We saw it in 2021 with the NFTs and the metaverse craze, right? And that came, that went. You got a little pump. The mass extractors and the scammers take advantage of it, and then it fades away. Same thing happening to the Solana trenches. They are in a state of despair. I've been talking about this for a while, and the XRP ledger is perfectly slated here with an active community. We are getting our DeFi capabilities. Do you need to be a degen and trade memes? No, but it's a great opportunity to exit, a platform that really doesn't have that utility, really isn't getting that institutional adoption like we see over here on the XRP ledger. And when it does come to meme coin trading, I see some standout organic, communities. They're just having fun, doing a little bit of trading, and actually trying to bring some utility to even some of their meme coins. Will it last? I don't know. But this is the problem that I've, been talking about with Solana, is when your ecosystem is dependent on traders, on trenches, on memes, it can only last for so long. And institutions aren't going to come trade memes either, which is what I was talking about yesterday, talking about XRP's super cycle potential. The only assets I think that have the potential for a super cycle are ones that are going to get new ETFs, which Solana does check that box. Assets that have companies treating it as a reserve, creating treasury companies. Solana does have some of that. But then real institutional adoption at scale. Are you going to see that? Right? If the institution's the only option, okay, we can come use Solana. What can we do here? Trade meme coins? Now, I'm overgeneralizing. There is a little bit of utility. There is some other stuff in DeFi happening in Solana. But by and large, it was the trenches coin. It is the trenches ecosystem. And we're starting to see the parties coming to an end. Now, speaking of real utility, Link Logis and XRP Ledger announced strategic partnership to advance global digital supply chain finance applications. This is out of Shenzhen, China. Yeah, that's right, folks. A leading Chinese supply chain fintech service provider announcing a strategic partnership with the XRP Ledger. Now, I'm laughing because, how do you partner up with the XRP Ledger? It's not an entity, right? It's just a neutral ledger, a technology, a network, a protocol, right? But the point that I like here is that this is not a partnership with Ripple, right? For so long, people said, oh yeah, Ripple has all these partners, but they're not using the XRP ledger. They're not using XRP. But over the last few years, I've taken every opportunity. When somebody chooses the XRP ledger without Ripple, I like to point that out because it's proof that you have other institutions, other businesses and corporations that are choosing the XRP ledger without doing a deal with Ripple. Proving that the XRP ledger is completely permissionless, anybody can use it, and people are deciding to use it. They're not being forced to, they're not being given incentives by Ripple, they're not being, given XRP at a discount to use the XRP ledger. No, they're deciding this is the ledger that we want to use for supply chain logistics. Right, love to see it. Now, Brad Garlinghouse got himself the credit card. There you go. An XRP rewards credit card out in the world. What a time to be alive, XRP family. There you go. You can use the special edition Gemini card for everyday purchases and earn up to 4% back. And here is the power of the XRP family. We have ran up Gemini on the App Store, and Gemini has now flipped Chase Bank on the App Store. So Tyler Winklevoss says the flippening of Jamie Dimon is complete. I retweeted him. I said, this is the power of the XRP army. Now, linked up in the description down below is the link for the credit card if you guys want to get it. Check it out. I talked about it yesterday. The perks here are pretty interesting. The benefits. But I wanted to let everybody know because some people were concerned. When you click on the link, it'll bring you to their credit card page and it'll show a Bitcoin credit card or an orange one. And I know a lot of people are all worried. They don't want to get Bitcoin rewards. They want XRP. Don't worry. After you apply through the credit card, there's a couple steps, and then you get to select the XRP rewards and the XRP credit card. Okay, so don't worry. After you click on the link, you'll go through a couple steps, and then it'll allow you to select which card you want and which crypto you want to receive rewards in. Okay, so check that out. It'll be linked up down below. I'm waiting on mine to arrive in the mail, but I was already approved for mine, and I'm excited to test it out. Okay. Let's move on over here to Nate Garassi, the spot Ethereum ETFs with over 440 million in inflows yesterday, another top 10 inflow day since launch. The category's 10 best days have all come since mid-July. The rotation is here from Bitcoin to Ethereum. You saw the big Bitcoin whale over the weekend, dumps Bitcoin, nukes the whole market, rotates to Ethereum. I don't think that that's the best play to make right now, but hey, he's going to do his deal. That's okay. And what we're seeing right now from the institutions and the ETF exposure is the inflows have rotated from the Bitcoin to the Ethereum ETFs. Once the XRP option is available, I think you know what's coming next. And the inflows that we're now tracking are hundreds of millions of dollars on a daily basis. When you slap on conservative multipliers to that, we're talking about much higher prices for XRP. The other thing to note here is the CME group is now sharing that we have a record open interest on XRP, Ethereum, and Solana. Our crypto futures suite has just passed 30 billion in notional open interest for the first time ever. Our Solana and XRP futures, along with ETH options, each crossed 1 billion in open interest, with XRP being the fastest ever contract to do so, hitting the mark in just over 3 months. Once again, BlackRock's IBIT Bitcoin ETF was the fastest ETF ever to 10 billion assets under management. Their Ethereum ETF was also one of the fastest ETFs to ever reach 10 billion assets under management. Now we see XRP is setting records, the fastest ever contract to cross the 1 billion threshold, doing it in 3 months. Bitcoin didn't do it, Ethereum didn't do it, Solana didn't do it. 2 + 2 still equals 4. Even in Common Core new maths. Okay? What does this mean? The XRP ETFs are going to outperform the Ethereum ETFs, the Solana ETFs, and they're going to give the Bitcoin ETFs a run for their money. Lock in, folks. Do not be distracted by today's price action. You are looking right now at record-setting, all-time record for XRP in the open interest surging right now. Now, as I said yesterday, what am I looking at for assets that could, one, just go up significantly in price, and two, potentially have a super cycle? We need ETFs going live, corporate treasuries being created, and then we want institutional adoption at scale. For the ETFs to go live, you need 6 months of futures trading. HBAR doesn't have that. XLM doesn't have any ETF filings right now. These are projects that I'm both very bullish on, but I'm looking at super cycle potential. How, can we establish a pretty high floor price? They're missing a few things, right? I'm not seeing anybody. There's no XLM ETF filings. There's nobody treating XLM like a reserve. Nobody doing a corporate treasury for HBAR. So those are a few boxes that are not being checked off, although I'm still bullish on those projects. But I'm looking at assets like XRP and the potential for XRP to run up dramatically, but also hold a very high floor price based off those catalysts. Okay. Now, is the bear market canceled? I still think that you see a pullback, but it's going to be a pretty solid floor price, I think, that's established going into next year. Now, quick look at the XRP price chart. Price is a distraction, right? Market price does not determine fundamental value and future value. We're looking at 292 on XRP right now, but I still see an incredible window of opportunity here to get under $3 and easily double up. I think that we're going to $7 by the middle of October when those ETFs go live. This is the finish line for the ETF race, right? By this time, the Solana and XRP ETFs will be live. That's October 17th. Brad Garlinghouse will be speaking on stage with Paul Atkins, DC FinTech Week leading up to this. What a perfect time to launch the Solana and XRP ETFs. So between now and then, it's up and to the right. And I think that you're going to be seeing that $7 XRP coming in by that time. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. We'll be back live tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern. All of our community resources are linked up down below and at zachrector.com. Thank you for your support. God bless you all.
I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.